What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Files podcast, where we talk about our favorite fantasy series and topics. We are your co-hosts, Spencer and Gabe, joined by our friend Mick to talk about Brandon Sanderson's Secret Project #2. And I'm gonna say the title of the book. So if those of you who are crying on the internet saying that none of you want to know what the title of the book is, I'm going to say it right now. So just fair warning, it's the Frugal Wizard's Handbook to Surviving Medieval England. This one will not be an Into the Cosmere episode, since this is a standalone non-Cosmere book. So it won't be in like that series of videos that we have on our channel. And by the way, also, please no Cosmere spoilers in the comments of this video, at least for, the stuff that we haven't read, because we don't want to get spoiled for like Stormlight and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, please none of that in the comments. You're more than welcome to say that you enjoyed Tress or any of the other ones, but just no spoilers. But yeah, we'll chat for a bit about general book stuff and give you a spoiler warning when the time comes. As always, subscribing and liking the video helps a lot, so please do that if you enjoy this content. And without further ado, let's talk about what we've been reading lately. But yeah, welcome to the show, Mick. It's good to have you back.
Yes, sir.
Gabe and I were
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Gabe and I were just talking a little while. We were playing video games earlier. That's what it was. And I was like, I'm really excited to talk to Mick. I feel like we haven't seen him since he made the big move to Australia. And
Yeah, it's been a while.
yeah, so it's really good to have you back. I'm excited to chat with you about this. So what have you guys been reading besides the Frugal Wizard's Guide or Frugal Wizard's Handbook to Surviving Medieval England? What a title.
Yeah.
What a long ass title.
And I make that mistake every time I go to type guidebook or yeah. Well, I can see in the notes you've picked up. You obviously want to talk about King's Dark Tidings.
Yeah.
I know that's a favorite
Yeah.
on the podcast. So yeah, I picked up the first book, Freed the Darkness, last month in March, because I was doing a fundraiser. I was only reading female authors for the month of March.
Nice.
It's like support of International Women's Day.
Okay.
So that was one I knew you guys had recommended it to me so long ago. So I was like, I'm finally gonna get down and do it. You know, I renewed my Audible subscription just to get a hold of it. Yeah. So I really liked that. That was a really cool story. I really liked the premise of it. The kind of all his rules, and it was actually pretty funny as well for like an assassin kind of story. I wasn't really expecting it to be as funny as it was, but yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I know you probably have like a big TBR and stuff, but do you have plans for picking up the second one? Because that's by far my favorite.
Yeah, I've got the second and third one downloaded. I'm just gonna finish Cradle first, I think, and then get back into that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, when you finish the series, or even if you want, when you finish like book 3 or whatever, you should come on and talk about it. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely.
Spoilery thoughts on King's
Dark. I feel like KDT, like we have the most episodes about KDT.
Yeah. And really, like, what's crazy is our KDT episodes always do really, really well because nobody is making KDT content, but there's a huge fan base for it.
Yeah.
And
like I've never seen anyone else like talk about it or discuss or review it.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. And the only other like big booktuber I've seen talk about it was Jay from Captured in Words, and excuse me, he did like a spoiler-free review. I think he's read the first 3 or the first 4 books, and he did like a spoiler-free review for it. And I've been trying to get him on here to talk about it, but he's a busy guy. But yeah, so not a lot of people are doing it, and we just put up our episode for King's Dark Tidings 5 last Monday. We had another YouTuber on, JKD Animator, and he came on to talk about the 5th book with us. And immediately, like literally on that first day that I released it, it was like went from 0 to 300 views in one
Yeah.
day.
Oh, nice.
And I was just like,
Nice.
oh man. And so people are starving for KDT content. And so I think that's kind of our niche.
Yeah, untapped market.
Yeah,
That's
untapped
right.
market. That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Gabe, what have you been reading?
Yes, so I've been reading solely Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Quite literally, that's the only thing I've read in weeks, I think.
Yeah.
There's a ton of books, and I wasn't sure at first because it's got, an Expanse vibe, right? Like space travel, futuristic warp drives, stuff like that. But I think I liked it because this one focuses on kind of more of a military aspect.
Yeah.
And so like you're following these like special ops crews, crazy missions, all that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed it. My only gripe with the series is that the way that it's written, sometimes the first couple books, there's a book, like there's two books in one. So you have part 1 and part 2, and they're completely separate.
Yeah.
And so like I finished
They're
10.
7 years apart.
Yeah, I finished 10,
counts
which was
back
the
and forth.
conclusion of like the first season per se.
Right.
And then 11, I was like really hoping that I would continue to like follow these characters, but it's just a completely separate story in the same world. And so
Oh,
I was,
interesting.
yeah,
okay.
and so it wasn't bad, but I just was like, I want more of like the main characters. That's what I'm
Yeah.
like here for,
So did
Yeah.
10 wrap up those characters?
No. So 10 didn't
Okay.
wrap them up. 10 was just the conclusion of this really big thing that was happening that could have been world ending. And so they completed that. And then, yeah, so I was hoping that 11 would kind of be like the fallout, like following this character, because some characters go this way and some are this way. They kind of separate. And so I was hoping to see that, but I'm sure it will come.
Yeah, they'll come back.
Yep, they'll come back. Quite a few books.
Okay.
But yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it. I probably enjoyed, and mind you, I have not finished Expanse. I've only read 5 books, 6
Yeah.
books, but so far I like this quite a bit more than
Yeah.
Expanse.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Mick.
I was just going to say, I just looked it up on Goodreads here. It's like 18 books. It looks cool.
Yeah.
It gives me
Yeah.
like Halo vibes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just from the
Totally.
covers.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Halo and like some Call of Duty vibes too. There's
Yep.
some super cool scenes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
I described the first book as Call of Duty in space, but
Yeah.
also major Halo elements. Like
definitely.
definitely Halo was an inspiration.
Yes.
And then the second half of that book, it jumps up 7 years later, and then the start of the second book jumps back 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's going back and forth.
Okay.
But like the second half of it was like straight up Star Wars. You got like Han
Yes.
Solo, you got Princess Leia,
Yeah.
you got like the Mandalorian or Boba Fett, however you like to look at it. And dude, it was so good. That the second part of the first book completely sold me on the series. And yeah, I really loved it. And I haven't gotten as far as Gabe. I think
How far did you make it?
I think I'm in the second book.
Gotcha.
I think I got to the part where it like switched to like completely different characters.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I want to skip this. But by that point, I had to jump to like Frugal Wizards.
For sure. Yeah.
Or by that point, I actually jumped into the thing that I'll mention a little bit. But yeah, Galaxy's Edge, absolutely phenomenal. I still think like, man, it's hard to decide between the Expanse and this, because I think the Expanse had like characters that I loved more, but this had like it also had fantastic characters and also just kind of like a world that I loved more.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing that I was missing with the Expanse is there wasn't really like, besides the stuff with the proto molecule, like as the story for the Expanse goes on, the proto molecule story gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it seems like with Galaxy's Edge, the kind of like alien aspect to it is there, and like you're seeing aliens all the time. It's very like Mass Effect vibes, if you've ever played Mass Effect. And so I'm liking it quite a bit. The narrator RC Bray is really good.
Yes.
And so I definitely think people should check it out if you finished the Expanse, or if you didn't like the Expanse or whatever, and you want a little bit more of that, or if you're into Call of Duty or Halo, I think, or Star Wars, especially Star Wars, I think people would find a lot to love there.
Yeah.
That's cool. It sounds interesting the way that it jumps back and forth like between the two books. And like would would it be a case, would you be able to like read, say, the first half of the first book and then read the first half of the second book? Or does like
So
the
yeah,
time
so
jumps kind of help you?
no, so you could do that, but the time jumps are, the second half of the first is very important to the second, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
See, yeah,
Okay.
I would agree with Gabe. Where like you could, but there's certain like revelations
hmm
that you'll understand when it jumps like 7 years later. You'll be like, oh, that's how that like
Yeah.
connects to the past, and so it really helps to read them all at the same time. And I never felt like, I would have thought that I would feel like, finish the first half and then jump to these new characters. And I'd be like, oh, wait, but I wanted those characters. I wanted more of that. I never felt that way. I
yeah,
felt like at the end of each like sequence, I was like, okay, that was just enough of what I needed from those characters. I'm ready to move on to this other cast and then jump back to them in the
yeah,
next book. And
Yeah.
so I always felt really good every time one of those like segments would wrap up.
yeah. The only time that
Cool.
I haven't is with book 11, because
Right.
it
Yeah.
was just completely separate. But I have a strong feeling that what happens in 11 is going to come into play the rest of the series.
Right.
It's important as much
Yeah.
as we don't
Yeah.
get the same characters.
Right. Okay. So yeah, then I jumped from Galaxy's Edge, and right before Frugal Wizard's handbook, I jumped to Gunmetal Gods by Zamil Akhtar, I think is his name.
hmm
And yeah, I liked it a lot. It was a book that I had been meaning to get to for a long time. It's like a grimdark book, that has a lot to do with like cosmic horror, like some Lovecraftian
Mhm.
vibes and stuff. But those don't really come in until like the very end of the book. And so I am kind of interested to read the next one and kind of find out like how all of that will play in like the big scope of things. I thought that it was like kind of like a Warhammer type setting where it's in like the far future. It's like this grim dark future where they're fighting like these giant monsters. That's not what it is. It's very much like a medieval setting. Although they have guns, they have like flintlock pistols
Mm.
and rifles and stuff. And so I was kind of hoping for that more like sci-fi feel. I don't know why I went into it thinking that it was sci-fi. So I was kind of taken off guard with that, but I liked it. I thought the characters were good. I thought it was plenty grimdark. There's lots of really brutal things happening that I enjoyed. The only thing that I didn't really like about it is I think I'm just really worn out on like religious fantasy, when like the main part of the story is like these two religions kind of going head to head, and they each kind of have their gods. Like the bladed faith was that way, and
Yep.
I felt a little mixed on the bladed faith. I liked it to some extent, but like the religious aspect just didn't quite do it for me. And then all of like Anthony Ryan's works, all of his fantasy books are always like religious fantasy. They play a big part, and I feel like, don't get me wrong, Zamil Akhtar did a great job with the religious part of it, and I didn't feel like he did this as much as the other guys typically do. But I feel like religious fantasy is always making one like real world religion out to be the bad guy,
Mm.
whether it's like Christianity or Catholicism or any other religion like Buddhism, whatever. I feel like there's always one that is taking heavy inspiration from to make the bad guy.
Yeah.
And usually it's like Christianity or Catholicism that's like the bad guys invading the other land. And I'm just like so tired of that. I don't know why, but like it just doesn't do it for me. And I can understand like how it would be really interesting, and I think that it's just been too much lately. There's
Yeah.
there's been so
Yeah.
much religious fantasy
Yep.
coming
You've
out
just
the
had
past
too
couple
many,
years.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been too much. Somebody fresh would probably love it, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Something like that, it is hard to avoid in fantasy. Like it does play such a big role in so many like fantasy books. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah. But all around, I enjoyed Gunmetal Gods. I think it's extremely well written. Like I I know that he's a popular author, and he's self pub, and I know that like a lot of people like his stuff. But I always kind of go into books, and I know people don't like to hear this, but especially I love self-pub books, but I always go into self-pub books kind of expecting the worst. I don't know why, but maybe not the worst, but I don't expect them to be like Rothfuss level
Yeah, I
prose
get
and
what you're
stuff.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And man, I got into this book and I'm like, this is like even if I may not like all of the subject matter, I'm like, this is an expertly written book. Like
Awesome.
it is well written with like the prose and just the way that he structures everything. I'm like, man, this is really good. So
Cool.
it's definitely a recommend from me if you enjoy the religious aspects of that kind of stuff.
He's
Awesome.
got great covers too.
Oh my God, the covers are so good. Gabe,
Yeah.
if you haven't seen the covers, you should look them up. It's Gunmetal Gods, and it's just like these people. It's usually like two people at the front of the cover that are like very small with like this giant
Oh,
monster in the
that's cool,
background.
Yeah.
dude.
It's
That's
it's
super
Yeah.
cool.
it's really cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He has another series, I think it's Lightblade it's called.
I
I
was
think
gonna
that
recommend this to
the
Gabe. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
I was gonna
that
ask if he had how many more he has, if he has a ton or
yeah,
just a couple.
Dude, you
yeah.
you
That
should
cover is crazy too.
dude,
What's it
Gabe,
called?
on
Lightblade?
Lightblade,
Lightblade.
you should buy it because it's a lit RPG. It's
Lightblade
or
by who? What's the guy's name? Sorry.
Zamil, Zamil. It should pop up.
Oh, what? That looks sick, dude.
Dude, it
Yeah.
is
Freaking
lit.
dragon. Let's go.
Yeah, you should check it out and tell me what you think. We'll do another like review episode or something because it's like progression fantasy or like lit RPG, one or the other.
Yeah.
And yeah, from what I've read about it, I think that you would really love it. So
Dude, I'm only like, the first part of the description, but it sounds freaking awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sounds really
cool.
cool.
All right. Well, before we get into spoilers, let's talk about, since I haven't had a chance to talk about this on the podcast, but there was this Wired article about Brandon Sanderson. And Mick, were you involved in all the buzz around this?
Yeah, I definitely saw it all. It took over my Twitter feed for like a couple of days. I didn't read the full article. I just read some snippets of it and
Yeah.
watched a few videos and read a few tweets about it. But yeah, it
It was
was
hard.
crazy, really.
It
I
was
haven't
to
read
read.
that or seen it, so you guys
Yeah,
gonna have to tell me.
you should Gabe, you
I
should
can look it up really
yeah,
quick.
type in Sanderson is your god Wired in
Okay.
Google. And it'll come up with this article, and basically the gist of it is, and so many people made videos about this, and I wish that I had, because everyone who made a video about it automatically got like above 5,000 views. And
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I wish I had covered that, but I just didn't have time. But anyways, it's basically this guy wrote this article about Brandon Sanderson, and he got a full ride to the Dragonsteel convention. He got to go inside Brandon Sanderson's home. He watched a movie with Sanderson, went out to dinner with him, got like the VIP treatment in every way, and then decided to go home and spend 5 months writing the most scathing article about Brandon
Oh
Sanderson.
no, dude.
And not even like, here's the thing. Is I could understand if you wrote an article and you're like, I don't enjoy his writing and here's why. I think that's totally valid. I think that everybody should be able to make that criticism, and that's what reviewers are for. They tell the good as well as the bad. But this guy, like, he was going after Sanderson personally, and he was like he was talking crap about Sanderson's kids, like when they
So this guy that wrote this article at Wired is
yeah
just attacking him.
yeah
Okay.
and like even like when they went out to dinner, like he didn't like the way that Brandon's kid was like eating something. He's like, he's putting too much salt on his food
The
or
fuck,
something,
dude?
and just all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, dude, I could not imagine, like, I don't know, like how like morally corrupt you have to be to write that article and not feel bad about it.
Dude, it
like
makes me think like
Yeah.
it's a punk, like it's like somebody's punking somebody on purpose.
right.
Because how could you be that hateful, dude? I'm only a
Yeah.
quarter of the way through this article, and I'm like, holy crap, dude.
Yeah, it's mean. Like there are things like, and he talks about Sanderson's like religion and like how it's like he's like, Mormonism is the fantasy of religions and they believe in like these celestial gods. It's like, dude,
Here,
what? It's like,
Go-
what does that have to do with his
Yeah.
writing? Like, I just couldn't believe it, dude.
I've got a little excerpt.
Yeah.
This may not make sense, but it's just
Yeah,
rough.
yeah.
For my purposes, exciting in fact, at that first dinner over flopsy Utah Chinese, this being days before I'd meet his extended family and attend his fan convention and take his son to a theme park and cry in his basement, I find Sanderson depressingly story-killing lame.
Yeah. It's
It's so unnecessary. Like
It's so unnecessary.
oh my god, dude. It's absolutely brutal. And I first watched
Dude, it's
Daniel
gotta be a
Green's.
joke, bro.
No, it's
Gotta.
not. It's straight up.
Well, who the fuck is that guy? Because
I
I'm gonna
know.
find his ass, dude. I'm gonna fucking find his ass. Jesus.
I know. People are lighting him up online, and he went
Good.
dude, he went so far with the article, even to like divulge some of
Jason K. Fucking bitch.
yeah, right. And he even went so far as to divulge Sanderson's like medical information that Brandon like specifically asked him not to mention. He's like, it later in the article, he even talks about it, and Sanderson was like, yeah, that's true. I have like this medical condition, but can you like not put that in the article? And he's like, sorry, I have to. It's like, no, you fucking don't, dude.
That's rough,
like,
dude.
oh my god. And so
If only they signed a contract and he could sue his ass.
I know.
Yeah.
But Sanderson had the best reply. Did you see this, Mick?
No.
What
Yeah,
Sanderson?
I read the response. Yeah.
It was so good. Do you remember like what he said?
Here, I can probably look it up.
I don't know any quotes, but he was very like kind of humble about it. He was like, you know, the guy who wrote the article, he's a writer too. He has to do kind of what he wants to write. I'm just going to worry about what I write and not care. Like I want to please the guys who do like what I write. That's the main thing for him. So it was a great response, to be fair.
Yeah. I think Sanderson just came back and like in humility and like understanding. And even though I wouldn't have that same understanding,
Yeah.
like I feel like Sanderson was just like, let's look at it from his point of view. And everyone was like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Sanderson just took the high road on that and just continues.
Yeah, he did. I
such a
appreciate the
good guy.
kind words and support. Not sure how or if I should respond to the Wired article. I get that Jason, in writing it, felt incredibly conflicted about the fact that he finds me lame and boring. I'm baffled how he seems to find every single person on his trip, my friends and family, to be worthy of derision. But he also feels sincere his attempt to try to understand. While he legitimately seems to dislike me and my writing, I don't think that's why he came to see me. He was looking for a hit piece. He was looking to explore the world through his writing, in that he and I are the same, and I respect him for it, even if much of his tone seems quite dismissive of many people and the ideas I care deeply about.
Damn. Yeah. And he goes on to say too, like, he's like, don't go after Jason. He's like, he was doing a job, and like, even though I may not like what he wrote, like I don't want anybody like,
and
and I'm like, man, that is taking the high road, man.
Dude,
like
absolutely.
that is because he could easily be like, everybody go get him, and people
and the fact is that Jason's article is it right now. It is some of the biggest news in fantasy. It's got to be. So he and that's what he said, like he was going for the big thing, and he did it. He got the big thing, even though he was being a bitch about it. But
and that's what's so sad, is because that article came out and it got so many views, and I saw so many comments on Twitter. Now, to be fair, most of the community was like, screw this guy. I don't like Jason. Like, what he did was reprehensible. But then you have the other people who have never read Sanderson in the comments like, oh, is this what Sanderson is like? I don't want to read anything he does then. It's like, so like the Wired article like actually damaged Sanderson's reputation. Like that's so messed up.
Yeah, it was messed up.
And then you get this Esquire article shortly after. So the Wired article came out, and then Esquire said, we're gonna do a legitimate article. Like and so Brandon flew them out.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're not going to make you any promises. Like, we're not doing a puff piece or anything like that, but we're going to give you a fair article.
Yeah.
Like something that's not attacking you and your children and your family directly. And so this guy went out to Dragonsteel, and he went out to the Sanderson has like this huge complex that he writes in, and it's like a fantasy land. It's literally like Disneyland. And he went out there, got to spend some time with him, and wrote a really nice article that was unbiased and really like middle of the road, just saying like what Sanderson is like. And it's just part of how the world works, right? Like that article did not get nearly the same traction that the Wired article did, even though it was
people love drama, dude.
Yep.
That's what it is.
And like the Esquire article was so much better written. It painted Sanderson in such a better light, gave an unbiased point of view, and it just didn't get the same views, didn't get the same like retweets on Twitter and stuff. It was really like, for a couple days for me, like it was really disheartening to see. Like I was actually sad over it, but I'm glad that somebody said, no, I'm going to set this right, and went out there and did the right thing, because it shows that there's, still good journalists and whatnot in the world. So
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That happens way too often as well. The negative takes always seem to get way more like publicity and response than the positive ones.
Yeah. By far our most popular video on the channel is me going after the Pariah by Anthony Ryan.
Awesome.
It's got like,
dude,
it's got like 2,000 views.
You have to make more hate videos, dude. Just find something you hate and use it.
See, here's the thing, and this is what I tell people. I'm like, I don't set out to make rant videos. I don't purposely.
No, it's your honest opinion. You read the book. This is your honest opinion.
I'm like, if I read something and really have something negative to say, then I will talk about it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to like make a video.
Destroy an author on your
But I did make the one exception where I went out of my way, but it was toned way down. Was my worst books of 2022, and I made that, and that got so many views in the first day.
It's
like, oh my god, you people are awful.
People are just looking for a fight in the comments.
Absolutely. It's all they strive for, dude.
All right, well, we will go into our spoilers for the Frugal Wizard's Handbook to Surviving Medieval England. So if you haven't read it, then probably go away now, unless you want to be spoiled for it. We're not going to do any Cosmere spoilers, like I said at the beginning, because this is not one of our Into the Cosmere episodes, so you don't need to worry about that. But we'll be talking about this whole book. So here's your spoiler warning in 3, 2, 1. You've been warned.
Spoiler time.
Spoiler time.
I got our character list here if anybody wants to refer to it. But
got it. I love how you put Jen. It just totally suits her, right? Perfect. Perfect.
Dude, what?
I was so fucking mad when that scene happened, dude. I was like just utterly sickened by that shit, dude. I hate it.
What a shitbag. We can talk about that. Dude, that scene. Tell me about your feelings.
Okay. All right. So when he realizes that she's alive, and she goes and she like hugs up to Ryan. And just in that moment, I was like, oh, this is gonna be bad, dude. Like, this is gonna be bad. And then he's like, how long have you been cheating on me? She says, 2 weeks in. Like, just like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's all good. I was like, fuck you, bitch. Like, you guys have been together for years. Fuck you.
Oh my god,
dude, I felt so bad for freaking John. Like, it was just sad. And I was like, I just can't imagine, like, in real life, if that happened to me, I would fucking stab somebody, dude. Like, I was so mad about it. And she just like couldn't care less. She's like, well, I just wanted to try it out. Like, I just wanted to see what you were like, I'm like, god, that's like some dumb shit right there. Like, you shouldn't date at all.
Oh my god, that it made me so mad.
Frustrating, dude.
Very frustrating. And I was like, he was like, why didn't you just break up with me or something like that? And she's like, oh, you were just so nice, and I didn't want to hurt your feelings. It's like, That's not what you do to
Oh,
someone
that's
who's
not
nice.
how
It's
the
like
world works, dude.
it's
Dude.
like, and then, but even like throughout the book, he'd be talking about how they were like, from his point of view, they just were fighting all the time. So I was like, why did she think he was so nice that he was
Right.
like,
Yeah.
she couldn't just end it if they're like fighting all the time? Like, that's use that as an excuse, even, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Is just a reason to cheat, I guess. I did think it
Yeah,
was interesting throughout the book where like and this kind of leads into like maybe a bigger discussion about kind of the white room trope. But I thought it was interesting how you start the book and he's like, "Oh, Jen, she was the love of my life," and like she died and all this stuff. And then as the book goes on, he like starts to get his memories back and he's like, oh, maybe things like weren't so great. Like maybe she wasn't the best girlfriend and maybe I wasn't the best boyfriend. And, just kind of like realizing over time. Mick, what did you think of this? Just kind of learning more and more about John's life as the book goes on.
Like the memory, like recollection.
Yeah.
yeah. I do think it's something I have enjoyed in other books. Like, I think I've seen a lot of people compare to like Project Hail Mary. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've read that one,
I haven't.
but it's kind of a similar thing. He wakes up and he's like slowly remembers certain things about how he got to where he is. Um, but like I found a lot of the, especially with Jen, with the revelation that, oh, she died and I only got a text. Like, as soon as I read that line, I was like, okay, she's not dead.
Mhm.
Like, I was
Yeah.
I was like not surprised by that one. But there were a few things like with the, like when he was doing the drawings and then he gets the revelation, oh, I was actually in art school. Like, that was kind of cool. And then I was like, oh, I bet he went on to do like
Yeah.
the
For the
criminal,
precinct.
like
Yeah.
the photos and stuff like that. So yeah, some of it was pretty cool, but then I kind of got a bit frustrated with it because sometimes he would be like, oh yeah, I'm a cop, and then it's like realize, oh wait, I'm not a cop, and then he's like, oh, I
Yeah.
wish I was a cop, and
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
kind of going back
For
and
sure.
forth. I was
Yeah.
like, it was kind of a bit, I don't know, convoluted, if that's the right
Yeah.
word for it,
Totally.
but yeah.
Yeah, I read through this twice, and the first time, maybe even after I finished the book, I was like, okay, I'm still not quite sure what like the sequence of his life in the real world was. I'm like, was he a cop? Was he not a cop? Was he like
Yeah,
and I was left a little bit confused as far as like, okay, so what was he really in the real world? And I think by the end of it I had like a pretty good picture, and then
Yeah.
reading through the second time I was like, okay, I get exactly what he was. But yeah, it was kind of it it made it hard for the reader to kind of follow the series of who he was in his actual life. I feel like I
yeah,
could agree with that.
yeah. I do think though, like having it by the end, like realizing he's actually working for the, is it, they're like a
The
mafia
gangster. Yeah.
basically?
He's a
Yeah.
gangster.
Cartel,
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I did kind of like that when you are expecting him, because I was sure he was going to be like a cop and like Ryan was his partner and everything. But so that was pretty good the way they subvert the expectations there. But
Right. So yeah, we'll talk about more of our kind of general thoughts on the book here in a second, but a couple things I wanted to mention just from like stuff I learned from the end of the book, the chapters where Sanderson is kind of talking about like how he came up with the idea and stuff like that.
mhm,
Some a couple things that were interesting was that Sanderson says that this was a story that he would tell to himself at night to fall asleep, which kind of shows just how much he's always like writing in his head. Sanderson is known as a machine as far as like writing goes. He puts out like several books a year sometimes.
Dude.
And so he's by far like the most prolific fantasy author. And so it's interesting to see how he's always thinking of stories, because he goes into detail in like the afterword. He goes into detail about how this is a system that he uses to fall asleep, and he just kind of creates these stories in his head, and a lot of them don't even make it to paper, but this was one that he had been kind of telling himself for a long time, and it didn't end up being the same story, but it was in the same kind of vein.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. That is just something that, I mean, all books are something that the author just kind of thinks up, but this is like specifically like a bedtime story that he would tell himself, which I just thought was kind of cool.
Yeah. That's wild.
yeah, he's got
I
such a overactive imagination.
Yep.
Like
I
I
feel
don't
like
know
he's
how.
he's the kind of guy that will like fill up a glass of water and he's got 8 chapters
Yeah.
written.
Yeah.
About the glass of water.
About the glass of water.
Yeah.
And why the water's in the glass.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I would love to. I mean, it would probably be like maddening for any of us like normal humans, but it would be so interesting just to like hear his
Like
thoughts.
see his brain,
Yeah.
for a second.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
like,
dude.
yeah,
Totally.
just for like 10 minutes, just to hear all the information that is going in and
It'd
out
probably
of
make you go crazy, dude. It probably would.
it would probably,
Overload.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'd probably be wild. Another thing I thought was kind of interesting in the acknowledgments, it said that Drew McCaffrey from the Inking Out Loud podcast and Chris McGrath were beta readers. And we haven't had Drew McCaffrey on, but we've had Chris McGrath on the channel. And so I thought it was funny just to hear that that Chris McGrath was one of the beta readers for this. I wasn't expecting that at all. And yeah, those are kind of all the fun facts I have. So let's go into just kind of like overall thoughts of the book. I know that we're probably all on kind of like different ends of the spectrum as far as like loving and hating this book. So let's start with Gabe. Would you, since you just finished this, what are your thoughts?
Yep. So I would say overall I liked the book. I really love the idea, like the premise of different dimensions and them being bought and people creating them. I thought was pretty cool. I liked the main character, John. I thought he was funny, just kind of witty and, circumstantial. He, put in this thing and he doesn't know what's going on. He loses his memories. I really liked it. I would say that there were some times where I was like, okay, this is kind of like not tropey because I haven't read a book like this, but that's how I felt reading some of these things, which wasn't bad. But overall, I liked the characters. I liked the story. Of course, it's a short, quick story, so it was, I tried to, because lately reading the books that I've been reading, I'm like always expecting more.
Right.
And so I was trying to like dumb down that vision and say, this is just a 4-hour book. Like it's, this is what it is. And with that said, I did like it. And it's in Washington, dude.
Yeah.
He's from Washington.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
That was so crazy. When
he said Tacoma. And I was like, no way, dude.
I know.
Like that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
It's like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was cool. I was like, Seattle. The first time I heard Seattle, I was like, no way, dude.
Yeah.
No way.
Dude.
And then he's like, I grew up in Tacoma, and I was like, oh my God, this is fucking cool.
Yeah, that's wild. Like I literally just moved from Tacoma.
I would say I'm 20 minutes away from Tacoma, dude. Like I'm right around the corner.
It's
so that was cool.
So
it was
wild.
cool that just to even think that like he thought of that and was like, this is where I want to put this book.
I know.
Right?
I'm like, I would love to ask him why he picked that.
Yeah.
I think that's so interesting.
Well, it's just I would love to ask him that too, and it makes sense because it's something that not many people have done before, right? Like we hardly ever hear of Seattle in books.
Yeah,
it is a big port city, right? It's a huge city, but yeah. So I'd probably give this book a 7 out of 10.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, more than fair. Let's go to the complete opposite
Yes.
end of the spectrum. Let's talk to Mick, and I'll end with my positive thoughts. Let's go to Mick and see what you thought of the book.
Two thumbs down from
2 thumbs down.
Me. Yeah. No, I didn't really enjoy it. I found I don't know if you've read like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I haven't,
Like,
but I know what it is. Yeah.
It's very, very, very similar, but I found like the comedy in Hitchhikers is more kind of not generic, but like more about society and like human life and stuff like that, where it's like witty, like social commentary basically, whereas this is like Sanderson's like just trying to fit a joke in kind of,
right.
I don't know, it really didn't hit for me. And the stuff like that I usually come to expect with Sanderson, like the revelations like about Jen, I was like totally telegraphed that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the ending was a bit kind of lackluster, like it didn't have the heights.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
Ending. Yeah, which it's fine. Like I didn't like it, but like when you guys say you liked it, I have no issue with that. Like I can understand why a lot of people would like it, and I'm sure a lot of people will. I'm sure it will. I know it's not his best rated book. It's one of his lower rated books at the minute.
Yeah.
But it's only out like a week, and that's only like the diehards fans have probably only read it now, and for people who did like it, good. I'm glad that it was, something different for Sanderson fans to like sink their teeth into. But for me, just didn't hit the mark.
So let me ask you a question, because this book is definitely getting a lot of mixed reviews. Like, people
Yeah,
either and maybe not even, they're not even too far off on like opposite ends of the spectrum. I don't think I've seen like a 5-star review for this book so
Yeah.
far. I think
yeah, no,
people either, feel similar to Gabe, where they're like, I liked it, it was fine.
yeah,
Two, like, I did not like it at all. And
hmm
I feel like there all those reviews kind of in between there. And so it is getting a lot of bad reviews. And I'm wondering, Mick, do you think that it's because a couple things? Do you think that it's because it's not Cosmere, and also that it doesn't have like Sanderson is known for his hard magic systems, but he's also known for like his Sander lanches, where the ending is like this big revelation. Do you think that it's just the comparison to his Cosmere work that often has those things?
yeah. I think definitely, like, for me personally, if you guys hadn't asked me to come on and talk about it, I don't think I would have read it.
Mm.
Like
Oh,
I really had low expectations going in, so I'm sure that probably affected my kind of reaction and
okay.
like liking of the book. But I'd
Yeah.
say a lot of people do compare to is because you've come to expect kind of that standard with like Stormlight and Mistborn. You come to expect these big epic stories with
Yes.
Sanderson. Like
Yep.
even with his shorter ones, like The Emperor's Soul, something like that, he packs so much into that, and it's only like 100 pages.
Oh,
So I can, I do think it would definitely play into people's reaction because, like you said, I have seen a lot of kind of it was okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
reviews, which I was expecting to see before I even read it. But yeah,
Right.
Have you read the Tress or the Emerald Sea, Tress of the Emerald Sea?
Mhm.
What
yeah,
did you
I
think
read
of that
that.
one?
I read that. I liked it. I
Okay.
think I gave it 5 stars. Not my favorite
Yeah. But it
book. It
was
was
it
kind
was
of
good. Yeah.
yeah. It did have that ending where I was like, okay, it's really ramping up
Yes.
now. I can see where that progression is coming in.
Yep.
It was a bit slow to start and a bit kind of. I thought it was going to be a bit like YA when I
Mm.
Yeah.
started like the first couple of chapters, but it did grow on me the more I got into it. Whereas this, I was kind of the further I got, the more I was like, come on, let's
Yeah,
let's go, let's get.
I think that's totally fair.
Mm.
I would totally agree, because when I finished it, I was thinking about it, and I was, or even before that, I was trying to compare it, because that was going to be a comparison that I brought up, was Triss and this secret number one, number two.
Mm.
Um, and I do feel the same way. I think that the build up was much better on number one.
Yeah,
And like I feel like number two kind of capped out, like after you got the excitement of this new world and the excitement of, this stuff, and then you get a little bit of magic, and then the rest of the story was kind of like, eh, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, so I think that, in the past, really in the past like 24 hours, I think my opinion has changed a little bit, because I think I feel closer to like how Gabe feels, because when I read through it the first time, I had just come off of like Gunmetal Gods, which was so like soul crushingly dark.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
so, it's just like so grimdark, and like there's just like people just die in that book.
yeah,
And just horrible things happen to people. And so I think coming off of that to go into Frugal Wizards, I was like, oh, this is like what my soul needs, you
Yeah,
know what I
you're,
mean? I was
yep,
yeah,
like,
for
I
sure.
was
Like, this
like,
is the refresher. This is
yeah.
where I get my light. Yeah.
Exactly. I felt like the main character seemed so much like Harry Dresden, where I almost feel like Harry Dresden had to be a little bit of an inspiration for this character, just in the way that like he thinks and kind of does things, and just the way that he's like written by Sanderson. And so I think I just loved that like fun, punchy nature. It's fast paced. There's things that are happening. The stakes aren't super high. Like there's some invading Vikings and stuff, but overall, it's just this guy trying to get his memories back. And it's just really lightweight fantasy that you can just kind of sit back and enjoy. And so I think that's why I was so high on it. And I initially said that I think I liked it more than Tress. And I think now I would walk that back. Now that I've listened to it a second time, I think that I did like Tress more than this one. But I still really, really liked this one. And I can understand the complaints that people had, but I just think that I just had like so much fun with it. And
Yeah.
I'm typically not the kind of person that really likes, fun, lightweight fantasy. I really like grimdark and really like serious fantasy. And even something like Dresden Files, like it's fun, but there's a lot of like just like serious undertones to Dresden Files as well. And so I think that, this is kind of outside the realm of what I usually read. And I think for that reason, I just really enjoyed it because it was kind of a break from all the other stuff, all the other darker stuff that I typically read. Thinking about it afterwards, I'm like, I don't really know like any specific things that I would point out to be like, this is why it's phenomenal and this is why it's so great. Like there certainly are those things, but not in the way where I could argue like this is why it's better than Tress or anything. And so I think for me, like I just liked it. I had a good time with it. It was fun. It was punchy. It was fast paced. And it was just a good break from all the other soul crushing stuff that I subject myself to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Nice. Well said. Well said.
I do think that was probably like an intentional thing as well, both for fans to have something different and lighthearted to pick up, and also for Brandon to write something different and kind of something that he wants to write. Not that he doesn't want to write his other stories, but just something that he could just I just thought of this. I'd like to just see where this goes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was in his head, going to bed at night, and he's like, I should make this into a story, and he did.
Yeah.
We kind of mentioned it earlier, but I have a note here. A lot of people say that they don't like Sanderson's humor. Am I the only one that finds his humor really funny? I always laugh at a Sanderson book.
I like the humor in this book for sure. Like I thought it was, I feel like at some points it was like a little dry, but most of the time it was solid. I laughed several times in this book.
There were certainly things that like didn't land for me at all, but I think that a lot of the humor, like the seize the fish thing, I thought was so funny.
Yeah, carp diem.
Carp
It's
diem.
awesome. Awesome.
But like the thing at the end of the book where like he jumps off the dock and he lands in like 2 feet of water or whatever,
and he's like,
he doesn't drown. I was like, all right, like it made me chuckle, but it didn't make me like laugh. And so stuff like that that doesn't really click for me. But for the most part, I think a lot of the one-liners, a lot of the just like random things that he would say, a lot of the random situations I found very funny. A lot of people though really don't like and obviously no spoilers for Cosmere stuff, but like Wayne from the Wax and Wayne books, era 2, a lot of people don't find him funny, and I'm like, I think he's absolutely hilarious. And so I don't know, there must just be like a divide in the Sanderson fans, because I know a lot of people don't like his humor.
Oh yeah, there's got to be.
Yeah,
he's massive.
I know for me, I didn't find like John's humor funny, but I did enjoy like the other characters' reaction to him trying to be funny, if that makes sense. So like the medieval characters being like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, or, like, I'm not dumb, like I wasn't born yesterday, like I know what's happening right now.
And the funniest thing I found about the carp diem was when, like, I think is it Ryan who says, you got to stop making that joke. It doesn't make any sense. Like, that I found funny.
Yeah,
when he kept saying it, I was like,
that was good. Or I really liked Cephawin's like where she would like roll her eyes. Like, stop rolling your eyes. She's like, I'm looking at the clouds. He's like, there's no clouds up there. Like, there's literally trees in the way. I like those kind of moments.
One thing that that was also funny, and also another reason why I liked it, is he admits he's a good liar. And so in certain scenes, like for instance, when the Vikings come to the shoreline, right? Like they see the Vikings for the first time, like, we got to take care of this. He gets there. And he's talking. He's like, "Oh, Kawasaki, Mitsubishi,
like I will Nintendo you."
Nintendo, yeah, exactly. And I was like, that was funny. I was laughing at that for sure.
I love
But even
that.
you throughout the book too, like he would just lie on some, whether it's saying weird stuff or not, like he was just lying all the time because that's what he had to do. And every time he did, I was like, oh, it's funny,
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
laughing, but I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah. I love the I will Nintendo you and all that
yes,
stuff because like to them it does sound like some
exactly. It's
arcane
some
magic
weird shit.
words.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So tell me what you guys thought about this. I loved the whole idea that, and I've seen this trope in like in like other books or just other like mediums and stuff, or just kind of like talked about on like podcasts and stuff where like one of us we could go back, like, or we couldn't literally go back, but if we could go back to the medieval times, like we would go there with all this knowledge, but it's not useful. Like we don't know how to make a light bulb, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
we
We
don't
know what a
know
light
Yeah.
bulb is and how it
yeah.
works with
Yeah.
electricity. How do you make electricity?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like how do you, like going back to medieval England, like how would you make the circuitry for
dude.
a
Yeah,
computer?
I have a thought on that. And
Okay.
it is when you like, if I was to go back, like you would have to be a specialist in a niche. Like you
Yeah.
would have to, like, for instance, like if you go back and you're like, you have an engineering background, you've got an engineering degree, and you know how to do, like, you know how to make a windmill, like you said, like that's what you focused on your entire life, is how to make windmills better.
Yeah.
That's when you would win, because you can
Yeah.
make the windmill. But if you don't
Yeah.
know, like you're like me, high school degree, working, whatever,
Right.
like I don't
Yeah.
fucking know how to like do any of that. I know how it works. I know
Right.
how like the thought of it works, but if you tell me to make a wheel, I'm like, all right, let's just carve this circular, that's all that
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
matters. What about the axle and all the other parts? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was really funny, and like we'll get to it a little bit later. I can't wait for it to be part of our discussion, but where they talk about like sending him back with a crew, like what one of
Oh,
their packages, they're like, we can send you back with a crew that's like an engineering expert and like a
yeah.
antibiotics expert and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I would love to bring like a team back and just own shit in
You would
medieval
own the
England.
world, dude. You would own
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
world. You would be King Spencer.
Yeah.
You could be like, it'd be like Minecraft or something. You set up your village,
Yeah,
get all those villagers.
exactly. Yep, exactly.
So last thing in the general discussion thing here, and we mentioned it earlier, but I definitely knew Jen wasn't dead. I saw it from the beginning. I'm like, I bet she comes back in some form
I
or
didn't.
another. Like she's somewhere in this world or something's going on.
I knew she wasn't dead when like he only got the text message to say that she was dead. I was like,
Yeah, and he was
your
like, there was
girlfriend
no
for
funeral.
2 years and you
Yeah.
just get a text message?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. But I wasn't expecting her to kind of be part of the
The
operation.
team. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
thought there might have been, maybe I was expecting him to maybe leave the world at the end and find out that she was still alive, something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So that brings us to a good question. I was just listening to a review earlier where the guy reviewing the book said that he wasn't able to connect with any of the characters because he was under the impression that at the end of the book, John would leave this world and all of these characters would go away and they wouldn't matter anymore. So he's like, I didn't care who died or anything like that. That is exactly how I felt about the land, because it's like a video game kind of thing that he goes into. I'm like, well, nobody in this world is real, and so, and I know that that's
You're
I
very wrong.
I know
Very wrong.
I
Okay.
know
As long as you know,
yeah,
I'm cool,
Yeah.
but you're
yeah,
very wrong.
I know there's nuances to it, but that's how I felt about it. But with this, I was like, I never expected him to leave this world. I always assumed he was going to stay here.
Mm.
So did you guys think that he was going to leave at the end, or did you think that he
No,
was gonna
I thought he would stay too.
stay? Okay, Mick.
Kind of first half, I thought he would leave.
Oh,
And then kind of as he kind of got closer to like Sefwin and that, I thought maybe he
Yeah.
would stay, but have gone back and
oh, okay.
Yeah.
then come back to the medieval times again, maybe with some stuff or like a way to like close it off completely and just be
Yeah.
there himself and start a new life kind of thing.
Yeah, because I think he would have that. Yeah, I totally agree. Starting a new life would have been a solid motive for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder as well if it might have been like, I didn't really feel much of a connection with John like at all. So I was wondering if like, how do you think it would have been if instead of, when he has these revelations that he remembers, oh, Jen died, then they did a flashback to like some time when he was with Jen, something like that. It might have made it a bit stronger connection there,
Totally.
something like that,
I agree.
Yeah, without a doubt. I definitely think that there should have been some flashbacks. I was thinking about that while reading it. I was like, because he's just kind of like narrating everything that's going on in his head.
Or that happened
Yeah.
like before when he remembers it. He's like, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. And then you're done with it.
Yeah, I would have loved to have gotten like an actual like visual scene
Yeah.
where it's like it goes back and it shows. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Is that how they do it in Andy Weir's book, or is it kind of the same where he's like remembering?
Yeah, it does do flashbacks, yeah.
Okay.
So like he'll remember some formula or some scientific thing, and then he'll go back to like when he's training and learning that for the first time, if that makes sense. And
Okay. That's definitely a book I need to check out. And I was also going to ask you too, because you mentioned it earlier, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. If I liked this book, would I like Hitchhiker's Guide?
Yeah, I think you would. I think Hitchhikers is definitely better.
Okay. Cool.
I liked the first one. There are some sequels.
Oh, is there more than one?
Yeah, there's 6, I think, altogether.
Oh shit.
So the first one I liked. The second one I was like, okay, it's a bit better, and then the third one I was like, okay, I'm actually kind of sick of this. It's like the same kind of thing. It's just the humor is, although like the social commentary is good, it's very kind of obscure and kind of over the top, and it's like it just gets a bit repetitive and just it's too silly for the kind of situations they are in. Like, there's a lot of like accidentally solving the problem kind of thing, that kind of way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some of our favorite moments and quotes, or in Mick's case, some of his least favorite moments. You're more than welcome to chime in with the scenes that you hated the most. So for me, a lot of mine are like quotes, just because I found this book funny. And so this one isn't necessarily funny though. It was kind of interesting. At the beginning of the book, when it's mentioned that John does not like have his memories and he doesn't really know who he is and all this stuff, he says in his head, he's like, I was looking at a white room inside my brain, which is funny because that's like the official name of this trope, is the white room trope, where
like forgetting everything and you're in this new place.
Yeah, like
Gotcha.
like Jason Bourne, like that's the white room trope. It's like I just thought it was kind of funny that it was like mentioned in inner monologue at the beginning. And then he used this term that I thought was so funny, because Sephuin hits him with like this board, and he says, face board me once, shame on you. Face board me twice, shame on me. And I just loved the term like face board. And that's kind of like, those kind of things reminded me of Harry Dresden, just because that seems like some word that he would make up. Yeah, then we get the carp diem line, sees the fish. I just thought that was endlessly funny. And it made me think, like Ryan was saying, like, nobody knows what carpe diem means. And I was like, yes, they do. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what carpe diem means.
Anybody's heard that, dude. I learned that when I was in 3rd grade.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, carpe diem, seize the day.
Yeah. Later on in the book, we get like some more serious scenes. And I really liked this scene between Sephuin and John. And she's talking about how her Viking boasts, like, they don't actually work how they're supposed to. And she goes to these villages and she does her boasts to, like, make things better or whatever. And then, she never goes back to that village because she knows that she was like lying and they're not seeing any benefits from this magic that she supposedly is supposed to have. It's just kind of this scene where she's talking about that. And she's like, I'm so tired of lying about this. And he says, of always staying in one place too long because you're afraid it'll catch up to you, or that each person you pass is someone you stole from, or never sleeping except when you have to because the friends you have are the kind you don't sleep easily around. And I was just like, oh my God, like, it just hit me
Yeah.
hit me so hard. I love that scene so much. And it just it connected with me on such a personal level. Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys have any thoughts about this scene or anything?
Yeah, I liked it, and it kind of makes sense then when you kind of realize how kind of vulnerable he feels. It's understandable why he's always, cracking these jokes and
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
lighten the
Make
mood
light of a
because he
shitty
doesn't.
situation.
Yeah, he doesn't want to actually dwell on it himself. So
Yeah.
Right.
that's it. It was kind of well done there.
Yeah.
I have a favorite, not quite moment, but moments, I would say,
Yeah.
when, let's say, the Vikings come on ship and they're having that whole discussion, and he's, faking to the Vikings. He's just powerful. What was the name they gave him? The, like,
Oh,
something.
Runian?
Runian,
It
yeah.
was Runian, but they called him something else too. It was like a general term for like a god or
Oh,
witch.
Ilv.
Ilv, thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh yeah.
And so they were calling him an Ilv, and he was like making him think. And there's this moment where he's like, he talks to his, what's her name?
Sephuin?
Sefwin?
Yeah.
Sefwin.
Yeah.
Sefwin.
And he's so quiet. He says, pass me that ink, right? And nobody can
Yeah.
hear him. He grabs the ink and he throws it down, and he's like, this is my last ditch effort. And he like writes this ruin in the water, and then all of a sudden it gets struck by lightning and it catches on fire. And dude, he was like he was like scared. He's like, that I didn't think that was gonna happen. That
Yeah.
scares me. Like, I'm scared of this. Like, is this real? And so I just thought it was interesting. Like, he would do those things, and then he really had to think about, like, holy crap, this might be real here. Like, there might be
Yeah.
actual like whites that are doing this, or gods that are doing this. And so I don't know. I just thought it was
Yeah.
kind of cool to see that, and see, of course, how it expands and how it was real, and it really
Yeah.
is that.
I like that a lot too. I thought it was interesting because the first like magical thing we see happen is the Viking, he goes to like hit him with his axe, like
Yes,
the
yeah.
axe like shears
Comes
apart.
off, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that maybe it was part of his like augmentations or
Mm-hmm.
something, or part of like the package of this like realm or like dimension or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it said in the handbook, it was like, don't worry, you have nothing to fear from the people that live here. You cannot be harmed. And so I thought that there was maybe some like magnetic force field.
Protection that was there, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what I thought that was. And then when the whole rune thing happened, lightning came down, everything gets set on fire, it was like, oh, maybe there's more to this. And I
Yeah.
kept thinking, up until the end, I kept thinking that like the voice in his head was like someone from the outside, someone
Yeah.
from like the future world that was able to talk to him somehow and like give him abilities and give him help and stuff. And so it was really interesting to find out that, they mention it in the very end where Ulrich's guard or whatever, I think he said like this was the one, or maybe it's Ryan that says it, like this is the one realm where there is such a thing as magic, as limited as it is.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was Ryan or if it was Ulrich's
Yeah, I
body
think it
member.
was Ryan.
Yep.
And so that was pretty interesting, kind of finding out like how far the magic goes. And we don't even really get a whole lot of information on it. And we'll talk about that more in the world building, because I'm eager to pick Mick's brain about that. And then we talked about the silence Thrall, or I will Nintendo you.
Yeah. Dude, the list of words that he says for that whole thing, I'm gonna go back and listen to, because I want to like, they're all just like so random and crazy, but I'm like, oh my God, you could see how that would sound absolutely insane to somebody who's never heard him before.
Yeah, like Mitsubishi.
Yeah,
Nintendo.
he says Mitsubishi, and it's like he says all sorts of stuff, dude. Like random, just like a company here, a company there, like a way of living here, like just all this random crap that goes along to make this string of shit that he's talking.
Yeah. Okay, so here's an interesting discussion. This is what I was looking forward to the most. Let's go through this like package.
Oh,
like the different packages that you can get for this. I don't even know what you would call it. Like
dimensional retreat.
Yeah, this dimensional retreat, exactly. And just like what package you guys would choose, or like how you would use each package. I think it could be fun to talk about it. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say we
Yeah.
we have to talk about the three guarantees first.
Okay, so what were the 3
So
assurances or
okay,
whatever you're talking about?
so they were, I can't remember all of them. One of them was that you had guaranteed 5 years without a pandemic. That was the first
Right,
assurance that
yes.
was given. The
Yeah,
second one,
everybody spoke English.
everybody spoke English. And
Yeah.
then the third, I can't remember. But there was another one that I thought was good and I liked it. It was something about how, like, the dimension wouldn't be so different from what actually happened. Like there would still
Right.
be like this and this that would kind of go on compared to how it really was. But
Yeah.
because you could buy lower packages where, like, you might buy this and you have a pandemic right away. Like Black Plague is there and you're gonna buy it for cheap, and that's why.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, package 1, we got our discount dimensions for an extremely low price. You can purchase a dimensional experience that doesn't meet our strict filtering process. This package offers you a dimension missing one of the 3 guarantees. So yeah, then we get pandemic dimensions, unintelligible dimensions, Stone Age dimensions. Let's start with these. So
Okay.
would we want any of the? I think Stone Age dimension is probably the most enticing, because I definitely wouldn't want a pandemic
Oh,
dimension.
out of these 3,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Out of these 3,
Yeah.
yeah. But I wouldn't
Yeah.
buy any 3 of them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had the option, yeah.
Yeah.
But Stone Age would be interesting because he talks about it in the book. He's like, if I went back to the Stone Age, like, I know how to make a cart
Yes,
or
yes.
something.
You
know,
could
he's like, I could.
become absolutely, yeah.
He's like, I would blow their mind with like what a pulley is or whatever,
Yep.
And so that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Population numbers in these dimensions can be low, and there are often no permanent settlements. That's a little scary.
Extra discounted.
So for the extremely frugal wizard, choose a dimension that lacks 2 or even all 3 of our guarantees. Completely unpopulated dimensions, often including various forms of megafauna.
Dinosaurs, dude.
Yeah. Are also available for those who want to conquer true wilderness, or for those who really like woolly rhinoceroses. Yeah. So that would be fun if you could just go in there with like a ton of weapons.
Dude, yeah, if you had enough to kill everything around you and you could like survive, absolutely, that'd be sweet.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
That'd be pretty awesome.
But you'd have to give me like 10,000 rounds of 9mm, whatever.
Yeah.
I would need to survive for like 30
Yeah.
years on the amount of ammo that you give me.
Right. So package 2, Wizard Wildcard Dimensions. Our most popular package is the Wizard Wildcard. Roll the dice, literally anything could show up in your dimension. While these dimensions include our 3 guarantees, nothing else is disclosed ahead of time. Maybe the Irish have taken over, or the insular Celts may dominate. Perhaps the Norman influence is especially strong. Whatever you discover, your dimension will have history, customs, and experiences all its own. That's the true fun of being an interdimensional wizard. I think that'd be
Trademark.
really fun.
Trademark. They always say trademark, baby.
Yeah.
I'd go to an Irish takeover dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Sweet, dude.
Yeah, that one could be pretty fun. Package 3, set time period. Are you looking forward to a specific experience? Perhaps your heart is set on learning to joust, or you want to help the Roman legions in their push northward across Britain. This is the package for you. You choose a specific time period in relation to technological level and expected cultural customs, and we'll provide a dimension that meets our triple guarantee and fits the desired criteria. The time periods available are Celtic, Roman, Anglo-Saxon, early Norman, and high Middle Ages. And it mentions something interesting here where it's like, you could go help the Roman legion push northward and conquer everything. Could you imagine going in with like just a ton of weapons and technology and stuff, and helping Rome take over the Romans take over the world?
But I don't think you get to bring in a bunch of tech on this level.
No, it mentions the additions later. It's like there's all these other additions you can add to it.
Because I thought that was like the luxury. Like when you get to luxury, you can start bringing in stuff. I could be wrong.
Well, no, it's just like extra add-ons, and so
Oh.
you can
Oh,
pay
I
to like
see.
have a
Buy your
nuclear.
thing and okay, gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it would be interesting to like,
You
what?
just bring one rifle
Yeah,
with 30 rounds and
Yeah.
you will
yeah,
conquer the world, dude.
Yeah.
that's
Like
true.
that's what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, that'd be interesting to see what would happen if Rome didn't fall or something,
Yeah.
that'd be pretty
Crazy.
cool. But also then just going into like Celtic or High Middle Age.
Anglo-Saxon, I think would be so interesting, dude.
Yeah, like all the Vikings and
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this, Mick? What if you would you pick this one?
I think, yeah, like the kind of, your classic medieval fantasy with the like knights and jousting and stuff like that would be pretty cool. It'd be interesting to see, like, I don't know, I can't remember if it's a book I read or maybe I just read a review for recently. It was like talking about, it was kind of like a medieval like military fantasy, and it was like, I think it was just a review, and they're talking about like how there's only these like armies, they only have like maybe 100 people, like that's a massive army, and it's like,
Right.
yeah, that's definitely like what it was like.
Yeah,
Like
for
if
sure.
it
Yeah.
back in those days, if you could get like a couple of able bodies
Yep.
together,
You would go
that's what it
for
would
it.
be
Yeah.
like a lot of time in fantasy you see like hundreds of thousands
And
of
that's
people like
not
come
what it was
together.
at
It's
all.
like way exaggerated, so it'd be
Yeah.
cool to see how those like battles actually went.
Especially if you gave everybody on your side a rifle.
Yeah,
Just
dude.
mowed down the
Yeah.
competition. Package 4, luxury experience. In this premium package, you choose not only your desired time period, but also one specific criterion from the following list. Warning, you might have to wait until a proper dimension is located.
Please visit our website for a current list of available luxury dimensions.
Yes. Luxury options. Pick one. A specific historical individual from our world exists in the dimension. Arm wrestle King Richard the Lionhearted. Have a rap battle with Chaucer. So if you guys were to have a historical individual from our world exist in one of the dimensions, what would you pick?
Oh, I would probably say regardless of the time period, would probably be King Arthur. Yeah.
Was he a real person?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I'm not saying that all the stuff was right, but there definitely was. You know,
Huh,
not a
okay.
sword fabled or whatever, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I always thought he was like a fictional character.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that he's definitely in the lore.
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Mick, historical figure. Who would you want in there?
I'd have to be patriotic here and say go back to where the British royal line began and cut it off. Make sure it doesn't happen.
Oh, that's so funny.
Make sure nothing happens there. Even
All
though
right.
it could turn out worse, I don't know.
Okay,
Oh,
I
man.
found. I'm gonna read this really quick. It says, "Was
Okay.
King Arthur a real person? Historians cannot confirm King Arthur's existence, though some speculate that he was a real warrior who led British armies against Saxon invaders in the 6th century."
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
I guess I should say I'm basing him off the Excalibur thing. So like I don't know what the fuck he was like,
Yeah.
but if that was real, that's who I would pick.
Okay.
That's a good answer.
Was Blackbeard a real person? Can you look that up, Gabe?
Yeah, I'll look it up. Absolutely.
Because if so, I would love to have a drink with Blackbeard.
I would like to maybe as well like go. I don't know what era would have been, but like the Chinese
Oh
what's the
yeah,
word?
revolution.
Revolution, yes. The Chinese Revolution. That'd be kind of cool to see that dynasty kind of come about.
Okay, I got your Blackbeard stuff right here. Ready?
Yeah.
We know almost certainly that Blackbeard's real name was Edward Teach, sometimes recorded as
Oh.
Edward Thatch. Whilst
Oh,
information
yeah.
about his early life is scarce, it is widely believed that he was born in Bristol around 1680 and served in the Royal Navy or as a privateer during the Queen Anne's War.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be sick.
Yeah, that'd be cool, dude. Because I think, yeah, he's he's the pirate, dude. Like he is
Yeah.
the pirate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He'd probably kill me, but I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to have that.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of cool stuff on him. I'm just going through the Wikipedia. I'm like, there's a lot here, dude.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
You should
That's
look it
awesome.
up. It's a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've
I didn't
always.
realize it was a real guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always kind of liked the idea
Yep.
of Blackbeard for sure.
Yep.
Okay, so then the next bullet point, a rare time period cultural technological mix. For example, Romans with gunpowder, still living megafauna, or a Britain with Chinese settlements. What do you guys think?
Not something that I would like, but just based off the amount of entertainment
Yeah.
that would come of something like this, it would definitely be like Romans with gunpowder. Like, can you imagine how that would go, dude?
Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah.
good lord, that would be just unreal, dude. I can't even imagine the way the world would turn if that was the case. So that's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was thinking maybe like if, say, Native Americans could like have like expanded like Western culture
yes,
did
that's a good
as well.
one,
That
dude.
would be cool.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude. Especially, yeah, dude. For us, imagine if like
Yeah.
Native American had guns.
dude, I
Yeah.
was
Could you
just
see
about
it?
to
Dude,
say,
the world would be way, way different.
like,
No way.
Could you imagine if like everyone from England came over to America only to find out that like the Native Americans were like super like technologically advanced and they just never really wanted to fuck with any of the other
Yeah, dude.
countries?
Yeah.
It'd be crazy.
And dude, oh my god, that'd be so wild.
I'd be proud of my native blood right now. Just gonna
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one, Mick.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as a fan of like Dishonored, I would love a like more technologically advanced like Victorian era
Mm.
with like advanced electricity and
Yeah.
like just technology in general. That game is very like medieval Victorian, somewhere around there. But they have very advanced like carriages and big
Yeah,
like
electricity's
electric
good. Yeah,
gates and
anything that runs
stuff.
off electricity, they really nailed.
Yeah. All right. So then the next one, a highly sought after specific time period, the Norman invasion about to start, for example, perfect for historical war gamers. See the speed runs.
section. Oh, that's funny.
So I don't know too much about like specific time periods. Do you guys have any thoughts on this one?
I don't know. I have no idea when stuff happened, so I don't know.
Yeah. I would say like whenever I would love to go whenever like there was like the water wheel and things were starting to get like a little bit more advanced but still medieval, or like Victorian. I would just love, dude, I would kill to be in just like Victorian England. That's like my favorite like setting out of all fantasy books. Anytime it's set in like a Victorian time period, I absolutely love that. So yeah, maybe somewhere around there. Any thoughts, Mick?
Yeah, it was just the first thing that came to my head was maybe like War of the Roses or something like that, around that time.
Very like Game of Thronesy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
There goes King Arthur right there, just out the door. They don't cover that.
Oh,
mythological features like Arthur or Robin are not available. You must choose people who are documented. So there goes my winner right there.
Well, any other historical figures you can think of?
I don't know. Yeah, I can think of some, but I'll make a fool of myself saying their name.
I'm trying to think of like who some of the more famous kings were, and I just can't.
Kings, yeah. I'm not sure. Like
Caesar or something maybe.
Caesar, yeah, like he's a
Caesar
Roman.
cool.
Yeah, he's a Roman king. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
That'd
the
awesome.
pharaohs,
And
maybe.
I was also thinking like Washington, like being the first president. Like how crazy would that be? Stuff like that.
Right.
That's way further, obviously, in the future. But
yeah, or even like I would love to know like what other historical figures like Robin Hood there were, like just really, really famous like thieves or
dude,
stuff like that. That'd be cool.
Oh my goodness, I know one. Oh, I can't remember. There's this thing that hold on, just continue. I'm gonna find it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say I want to change my answer now to like
Change
go
it,
ahead.
do it.
go back to ancient Egypt and like the pharaohs, like
Oh,
Cleopatra and
yeah.
stuff.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah,
idea. Yeah,
that
yeah.
would be cool. See how the pyramids were built, if it was aliens or
Yeah.
not.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It definitely was. It was without a doubt aliens for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, man. Could you imagine going back to that time and witnessing just like the alien invasion and then how they covered that up
Yeah.
and oh my god. Okay, so specialist dimensions. Sorry. uh, specialist dimensions found more commonly in our band than in others, as outlined on page 113, includes Celtic true matriarchy TM dimensions with extra high ethnic diversity on Britain, and our last bastion of civilization TM dimensions, where Rome has fallen and Britain has become the center of the Rome Empire. Celtic true matriarchy. I wouldn't want that.
Have you guys ever heard of the heroes of Charlemagne?
Oh,
Yeah, that
okay.
sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
So
Yeah.
okay, so the person I was thinking of was the 12th hero of Charlemagne.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know a lot about it, but apparently they were real. And they were kind of like, trying to make shit good. Like, you guys are terrible. Like, I'm gonna give
They're
to
like
these
a
people.
rebellion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, then dimensions with extra high ethnic diversity on Britain. That'd be interesting. And our last bastion of civilization dimensions, where Rome has fallen and Britain has become the center of the Roman Empire. That would be sick. Last bastion of civilization. That'd be pretty cool. Any thoughts on these ones?
I don't know. True matriarchy might be kind of fun. Like,
I think it'd be scary.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if I would like that.
Well, okay. I guess I was too quick to pull the trigger there. When I read it, I was like, true, matriarchy, that's a woman, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
what if you like jumped into a place like where you're already king? Like, you're the top dog. You are ultimately.
But then it wouldn't be matriarchy.
Well, no, that's what I just said. I know that. But I'm like,
okay.
wouldn't they have that too? Like, if you would think that they would do that as well. But maybe not. Maybe only women can be the ultimate kings. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what matriarchy is. Like, only women.
I understand that. I'm well aware.
Okay.
Right. Well aware that that's what matriarchy means.
Okay. All right, let's move down to package 5, Total Wizard Package. I think this was the one I was most excited to talk about. This ultimate package includes all of the benefits of the luxury experience and any number of bonus add-ons. These can include, but are not limited to, a small nuclear power plant and a castle to install it in. How would the world change if you went back in time with a small nuclear power plant and a castle?
Dude, I mean, it would be a complete matriarchy. There's no way. You would be the king of the world. Seriously, dude. There's no way. You would be the king of every continent, every world that or every place that there ever was. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah.
What does matriarchy have to do with that?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, all right. Forgive me. I'm a dumbass. Forgive me. What is it when a king rules? What's it called?
A patriarchy.
Patriarchy. Okay, that's what I meant, dude. That's what I meant. Fuck you. Fuck you. All right, yeah, that's what I meant. Patriarchy. Patriarchy is what I meant.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. It was a patriarchy. I'm just a dumbass. Forgive me.
You're
But
good.
you'd be the highest ever. I mean, you would be the ultimate patriarchy over everything. Everything there would be.
It would be a one world government for sure.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
You would rule everything.
Yeah.
No
questions asked. And you would have ruled everything since 10 years after you got there. 10 years with that nuclear power plant, you'd be it. You are it.
And like, imagine, like, we've even seen our technology in the past 20 years, like, it snowballs, right? Like, soon as computers were invented, like, 20 years later, we have these crazy smartphones. Well, not 20. It's been like, it's been like 40 years.
I get what you're saying.
But now we have like significantly advanced technology. And so imagine going all the way back then. By the time you got to 2023, we'd have, oh my God, it would be like an alien civilization.
It'd be nuts, dude.
Yeah.
and then we'd go back and build the pyramids.
Yeah, that's who the aliens were all
That's
along.
right, exactly. Inception, baby, Inception.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The aliens were the friends we made along the way.
Mhm.
A full compliment. Sorry.
You guys. Oh my goodness.
I love that joke no matter what the context
No,
is. I
it
love
always
that.
it always
Yeah.
lands. And
Yeah.
dude, I thought of such a good one the other day, and I wish I could remember what it was, because I was just like in my truck and I was like, oh, the blah blah blah, the friends we made along. Oh, it was the okay, it's super dumb. You guys aren't even gonna find it
No,
funny.
just say it, dude. Say
I
it.
was thinking of I was listening to a podcast or something, and I was thinking of The Last of Us.
The
And
friends
I'm like, I was like, The Last of Us were the friends we made along the way. I was just like sitting there in my truck,
funny,
just
dude.
like crying, laughing. I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
I'm like, God, I'm such an idiot.
Oh man.
Oh God. Okay.
That's good.
Whew.
Okay, really quick. I can already tell you, we've only gotten through 2 of these, right? 2 of these
yeah.
first little,
Yeah.
and that's what I would take with me to my dimension.
Yeah.
Just those 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a full.
You just want guns.
Yeah.
Well, no. You get a nuclear power plant, right, for energy
and weapons.
and then weapons. Exactly,
Yeah.
dude. You can
That's-
fucking control everything from then. People are
Yeah.
starting to be like, oh, we don't want to follow you. Bitch, I got a rifle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the best part is they think it's magic, so they think you're a god.
Dude, they'll just bow down. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They were like, fuck everything else. Like, you are obviously in control. Like, thank you for not killing me. I appreciate it.
Oh my God. This is just simultaneously the worst and best
Yeah.
conversation
Oh, yeah.
we've
Yeah.
ever had.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's all good fun.
Okay, this is where it gets crazy. A modern helicopter fully automated with piloting software and weapons.
Oh.
I don't need
What?
it. I don't want it. I don't need it.
They would think they would think the helicopter is a god.
Dude,
Like
they would
they've
think
never
that,
seen a helicopter.
they would think
Yeah.
that the world's ending, dude.
Oh
The
my
world is
God.
ending. There's God is flying in the sky and
Oh.
shooting people. It's over.
Oh man, I should clip this out as its own episode.
That would have been good, yeah.
Yeah.
Your own. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. This is what I would like. Your own adventuring party. The option includes a 1-year contract with an expert linguist, a historian, a bodyguard, and a dimensional guide to help you establish yourself in your new dimension. Because that's the thing. When you get to this place, you're gonna encounter other languages and all sorts of stuff. And the idea, and I'm just a dumb white guy from 2023, so I don't really know, but I would imagine
Same.
that
Yeah, same.
I would imagine that the idea of learning other languages is far more difficult in medieval Europe
dude,
than it
yeah.
is
Oh,
nowadays.
yeah.
Like
For sure,
they
absolutely.
don't have what is it, Rosetta Stone or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
So-
Rosetta Stone.
It's
Oh.
and so it's like, yeah, you need the guy who can be like, this is how you speak French and conquer France.
Here's
right?
here's my thing with that. It says 1 year. Now, if these people
Yes.
would like do it and they would they're like, okay, this is not so bad, I'll stay on extra, that would hands down be my pick. Absolutely. But I'm just afraid that like once this year's up, you're gonna lose your linguist, you're gonna
Yeah.
lose your other guy, and then what if you didn't remember enough of it? Now you can't
That's-
talk to this people, or now you can't fucking remember what happened here because your historian's gone.
That's fair. That's fair. But I think that if for a year, every single day, like if you were
Dude,
like Reskin,
if you
and-
like made your life about studying all this stuff, you would be
Yeah.
golden for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
like,
just couldn't do that.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like I couldn't do
Gabe is like getting shot is the same in every language.
that. Yeah, dude. I could not remember like what 10 languages and a bunch of. There's just no way, dude. I'd just rather just get my gun and fucking, you know.
Yeah.
Gabe's like, I have a gun. You either speak my language
That's right,
or
or
you're
not, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
We are
Mick knows,
so
dude.
getting
He knows
canceled
me,
for
dude.
something we've said
Yeah.
today. Oh,
Dude, it's all theoretical though. Like I'm just talking
right.
about
No,
this book. Like I'm not
that's
saying I would.
no, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm with you. I'm
we're just
100%
having
with
fun
you.
right here, dude. I made you guys laugh. That's why I do this, dude. Spencer
Yeah.
laughing is like my fucking win, dude.
Yeah, dude.
It's all
for
good.
sure. Oh my god. But yeah, I think that if you had a year where you didn't try to conquer anything, you weren't like really trying to establish yourself, but you're just spending a year with like these guides and
Be
you're
like the
trying to
Dalai
like
Lama.
yeah, you probably Dalai Lama's not doing so good in the
no,
news
he's
right
not.
now. So we might
I
not
know
wanna...
he's not. That's why I said that, dude. I'm sorry. You can
Oh my
edit it
God.
out. I just had to. I'm sorry. I just had to, dude. I could not.
That was fucking wild to see in the news this morning.
Yeah, that was pretty wicked.
What happened?
Oh, he doesn't know.
Oh,
Okay.
dude,
All right. So,
Oh,
dude, so
no.
at a conference, at like a
Yeah.
huge like Buddhism conference, he had a child come up with him and he stuck his tongue out and he told the child, "Suck on my tongue."
Yeah. And
That's what
he
he
like
told the kid, and he stuck his tongue in the kid's mouth.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
really
my
bad,
God.
really bad,
It was
What
really
the-
weird.
dude. Craziness. That's
Why'd
why I
you bring
brought it
that
up.
up, Gabe?
I'm saying that was part of the joke, dude. 'Cause Spencer told me that's why I said that, because like Spencer brought it
No.
up,
It's like
and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
No, it's
Yeah,
funny,
sorry.
but
No, it's gross.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. I'm
Mick's
with you.
like
It's terrible. Forget about it.
Mick's-
We're gonna
Mick's
move
like-
on. It's bad.
Mick's like, you just ruined my day.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
didn't mean
yeah.
Really gross. Really
No,
gross shit.
don't worry.
But
Don't
it's real.
worry.
It's happening. It actually happened.
Yeah.
I wish I knew
Okay.
before you said it. It would have been
I
a lot
know.
funnier.
Yeah. I know, yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so then a fully trained complement of local servants guaranteed to treat you as a god and a castle to house them. This is one that I would not pay for because I think that
Yeah.
if you go back to
Yeah.
that time, you're already guaranteed that if you have a gun.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
You just have to make the right moves, dude. Because you
Yeah.
could bring a gun in and you could just get dead quick.
yeah.
Like you have
Yeah.
to make the right moves politically to get there. But yeah,
Right.
I wouldn't need the servants because they would just happen.
I mean, especially from like the cyberpunk era that these people are coming from. I
Yeah.
think that a lot of the guns are probably like strapped to like your wrist or something. And so people will think that you
dude,
just
do
shot like
they
a
don't
lightning
even,
bolt at
do they
them.
have they made gunpowder yet? I don't think they
No,
have, dude.
no, definitely
Yeah,
not.
so there's
Yeah.
no such thing. It's like that is magic to them, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not until like the Victorian era that
Yeah.
guns you start to get like flintlock pistols and stuff.
Yeah.
So then research
This
into
one, yeah.
research into local diseases, a medical tent with equipment for treating wounds, and up to 2,000 vaccines prepared for distribution to your loyal followers. Also includes access to a medical team that can be called on in emergencies for triage
Yeah,
after battle.
that's
I
a
think
no-brainer, dude.
This is a necessity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
no brainer.
Yeah.
That has to be
Yeah.
there. Absolutely.
I
It's a
think,
game changer.
Yep.
yeah, I think even if you don't choose that perk or whatever, like you have to go back there with some medical
Yeah.
knowledge and some like medicine and stuff.
And
right?
well, 2,000 vaccines. Think about that, dude. Like, what if there's
Yeah.
a plague and you can vaccinate your entire castle and
Right.
all of your servants or whatever to be
Right.
safe from this? That's massive, dude.
Exactly, yeah. I love this. One true wizard TM staff with weapon functions, projection
Yeah.
abilities, and a suite of magnetism augments to replicate telekinetic powers.
Yeah,
Don't
imagine.
go wizarding without
Yep,
one.
yep.
Like, yeah, like you would need something hidden as like what the locals would expect to see,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
what's this footnote? Legal disclaimer: controlled weapons will be delivered to the dimension by our team via a temporary gateway in international.
Oh yeah, I
waters.
remember this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
this was interesting because they're like
They're not trying to pay taxes, dude. No taxes. Yeah.
well that, but also there's laws about like international gun sales and
Oh.
stuff, and so they like this is like a really iffy kind of area, right?
Oh yeah, dude. Gray area for
Yeah.
sure.
But yeah, I think the wizard staff was the last one. For more details on bonus add-ons, see the full list of over 30 stunning options in the next chapter. Please remember that these options may be added to any package. Wait, do we have more?
No, it's got to be.
No.
Oh,
No, that's just into
No,
the
okay.
book.
I know it took a long time, but I'm so glad we went through that all
Yeah, that was
because
fun.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't think I've laughed that hard in forever. uh,
My
um,
yeah.
what?
Matriarch mistake, dude. That's
That
what
was
was
great.
funny, right? That was
Yeah,
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that was
love
good.
that. I love that.
I feel less bad about it now
Oh
because it
yeah,
was
you
last,
shouldn't feel bad
I
about
know,
it.
I'm
It's
Yeah.
just
just fun.
kidding. Yeah, I don't.
It's
I
funny.
don't.
Would you guys read like a full book of the handbook?
Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And I've heard a lot of reviews saying like the actual handbook was like their favorite part. Like that was the
Mm.
part that they found funny and
Yeah.
entertaining and stuff. So if he ever wanted to release the actual like handbook, I would absolutely buy it, no questions asked. And speaking of that, I think it's interesting. Tress for Tress of the Emerald Sea, I didn't feel so bad about not having like the actual physical book, but this book
Mm.
I'm like, shit, I wish I bought it because there's so much artwork in this
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
There's so much on every single page. There's like doodles in the margins and stuff of like a little
Wow.
wizard doing stuff,
Oh,
and
cool.
it like
I didn't
tells
know
the
that.
whole
Yeah, that's
story.
cool.
And so I really regret not getting the physical book. I think because Tress is available to the public now, right? You can just buy it as a normal person.
Not the like special edition that was just for the Kickstarter, but there are the
Oh,
Tor and
that,
Golansk
do you
versions.
does it include the artwork? Do you know?
That I'm not sure.
Okay, because
Yeah.
when this book comes out, if it includes the artwork, I will undoubtedly buy it from
Mm.
Golan's or whatever.
Yeah. I haven't actually seen the physical copy of this one yet. I don't know how people received it.
I know, because this is the image behind me is just the image that was like the placeholder image, so it's not the
Mm.
official cover. So I don't know what the official cover is gonna be. I think that's really kind of weird. Okay, so cruising right along. Holy shit, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I keep
Yep.
seeing the light behind Mick, and I keep thinking that is that time for us.
No, yeah,
I'm like,
it's
oh, it's getting late.
we're there,
Okay,
dude.
we
We're
gotta
there.
go.
We're there.
We
2.5,
gotta go.
baby. 2.5.
So let's jump ahead. The one thing that I do really want to talk about is the campfire talk with Ryan, where he ends up like he talks about all of John's like failings. And he's like, no, John is actually this. He's actually a thief, and he followed me everywhere I went, and he
Yeah.
never did anything for himself. And dude, that hit me so hard. And then like the next talk they have, where Ryan is basically saying like, you have to take responsibility for yourself, and John is like, I understand that, but it's also kind of like this trickle down effect as far as luck. Like the more bad things that happen to you, the more those make you feel like a loser, the more you will believe you're a loser, and that will compound and become like more and more and more. And I really liked this discussion because I feel like at various points in my life, I've been on one side or the other. And I think that that's why a lot of what John has kind of been through has hit me so hard, because I've gone through those periods and times where I am like that absolute loser who has nothing going for me. And in the past 6 years, or maybe 7 years now, I've kind of like matured a lot and become more of the person that I want to be. But looking back on some of those early years, I'm like, oh yeah, I can totally relate with some of the stuff that John has gone through. And there's been periods of times where I'm like, I just have really bad luck. And like I do understand like the compounding thing where like you think one way about yourself and then it compounds and compounds and compounds to where like things are affected by that. But then I've also been on the other side of that where I'm like, you have to take personal responsibility. And I
Yeah.
feel like nowadays I kind of fall a little bit more on that side, but I'm definitely somewhere in the middle where I'm like, you have to take personal responsibility, but also shit happens and shit compounds. And I went through that this last winter when my roommate passed away. It's like suddenly I'm left with all the bills, and I saw how all that kind of compounded on itself. And even though I was making good money, it's like there's no way I can keep up
Yeah.
with all this. So
Yeah.
it is interesting to see how things like that kind of compound. But I'm also like I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm also on the side of like, you know, there is personal responsibility to take in your life, and you do have to like put your best foot forward and try to get out of that rut if you find yourself there. And so yeah, I really really like those scenes. Do you guys have any thoughts about this? Or
Dude, I totally agree. I think that's one of the things about this book that was well done was those kind of like, I'm like everything looks bad and I'm screwed, but wait, I'm gonna push further.
Yeah, and
Growth, I guess.
I liked the bit about when he kind of had the realization about the rating system, how it was like, I feel
yeah,
so lost and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, what is my kind of purpose, I suppose. So he's doing these rankings to try and figure out something that he can focus that energy on, because
Mm,
something that he does like, something that he is good at, but he just couldn't find it.
yeah.
yeah.
I really just like that whole kind of segment where we start to get like some real, I guess just like some real like heartfelt stuff, because up to that point in the story had been really like goofy.
Yeah.
And then we start to see like, you know, this very real side of John, and how he views himself and whatnot. Do you guys see anything else on this list you'd like to talk about?
I just gotta say that I think Ailston was probably my favorite character. I liked when
Yeah.
he had
Nice.
those kind of profound moments that kind of John didn't expect. He was like, okay,
Yeah.
this guy knows what he's talking about, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And,
Yeah.
and speaking of him, there was a scene that I loved, and I love this trope. It never gets old for me. But where the main character is getting like strangled or beaten or something, and someone comes in at the last moment
Nice.
and
Yeah.
saves them, and it
Yeah.
always gives me a good feeling. I've read it so many times, just that trope in general, and I've never not liked it. And that's when John is he getting strangled by Ulrich or something,
Yeah.
and or he's like on the ground or something, and then at the last moment Ulrich's head just explodes,
Yep.
Yeah.
He
and
gets shot, baby. Yes.
Yeah.
and Allison comes in and he's got the guard's hand on his own gun,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
used
That
it
was
to
clever. Yeah.
pull the
Awesome.
trigger. Yeah, I thought that was great. Um, so before we kind of wrap up here, let's talk about the ending. Um, people either I mean, I feel like most people didn't really like this ending, and so I'm interested to hear what you guys thought of it. I didn't mind it at all. I thought it ended on like a happy note, and like, you know, him and Sephuin are together, and they're just kind of, you know, going from town to town and kind of doing their thing. What did you guys think about this? Any strong feelings on it?
Mick, I want you to go first only because I listened to this last part like under duress last
Okay.
minute.
Yeah.
So I want to hear what you have to say because
Yeah. Fair enough. I liked that he could kind of, the way him being there was affecting the magic, and that he would have to move around, and he could do that with Sephuin. So I did like that kind of the very ending, but the kind of the typical Sanderlanche kind of time frame where like the Vikings were coming in and the crime mob were coming in and stuff like that. I felt like the Vikings part was nearly not necessary. Like
Yeah,
it didn't
yeah,
really
that
add
was weird,
much.
wasn't it?
Yeah, because they arrive and kill a few people, and then the magic gets activated again, and then they're just gone, and then that's it. And it didn't really add much to the story, I don't think.
Yeah, the whole Viking thing was weird. I got to the end of it this last time, and I'm like, wait, so what was the whole thing with the Vikings? Like, I feel like
Yeah,
there wasn't like a big like battle or anything. I mean, we're to assume that it happened outside the room
yeah,
where John is fighting Ulrich and stuff, but it's like, yeah, there was really no. I mean, I guess the one time where there is a scene centered around it is when Sephuin is like doing her boast,
yeah,
and she's calling the whites and stuff who oppose Odin. And so yeah, that was kind of interesting how that was just kind of a weird side tangent. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was just like it was a happy ending. Like he ended up with Sephuin, and you know, they just kind of went on. Did you guys have any strong feelings about the romance in this book? I thought it was fine. I
yeah, no, I thought
it
it
was
was fine
okay.
too. I thought that it was even from the start, like you knew something was gonna happen, right, with Cephalin. And I liked the build up and I liked kind of how it panned out. So I was happy with that all the way through.
nice. All right. So, there is something I should add here real quick, because we get like this epilogue with Thok or Logna, and we kind of get some reveals that were interesting, and they seemed kind of crammed into to this one chapter and just all happened very fast. So she basically sent a beacon out to John in the real world. She had kind of called him to this world, although she didn't know what was going to happen by sending that beacon out. I thought that was kind of interesting. This epilogue really made it seem like he's setting it up for a sequel. And it's mentioned that she disrupted the tech of the guards for Alliston. Oh, and during that scene, I love the how did you defeat two moderately armed guards? They didn't have bows. And
Yeah.
there's just kind of like a running joke throughout the whole thing. I love that. But yeah, then we see John has Ryan's laptop and some of his other tech, like the solar panels that are powering the laptop and whatnot. And Logna is able to get onto his computer because she knows she's like the god of all words or something. I didn't quite understand that, but she's able to get into all his stuff. She opens a file called Dimensional Portals, Schematics, and Repairs. And so it seems like she's trying to repair the portal that goes back to John's world and branches out to other realities, because right before that it mentions that she's been traveling through other realities, and she ended up at this one. She was like traveling downstream, and then she hit a wall and landed in this reality, and it wouldn't let her go any further. So she's trying to figure out how to like keep going, maybe. I don't know, but I'm like, why would he put that in there if there's not gonna be a sequel?
True
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah.
kind of a cliffhanger, yeah.
Yeah.
And also with the laptop, doesn't it say like it's all of human knowledge is
Yeah.
on the laptop? And I'm like, how big is the memory on that laptop?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I assume it's from like a cyberpunk era world, so I
Yeah,
assume that it's pretty advanced.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like, is she gonna give him the code to get into that file? I don't know. I hope so. That'd be interesting if she like. And it also mentions that she can unlock his upgrades if she wants to, and so
yeah,
it's like that would be cool for the next book if he found a way to bargain with her and get his upgrades back, and now he's just like this Iron Man in medieval England. That'd be pretty sweet.
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, so let's go into our final thoughts. Any final things to say about this series, or this book? Do you hope
book,
it turns
yeah.
into a series?
No.
Yeah, I'm conflicted because I at the same time feel like that there could be another one, but also I'm with Mick and I'm like it could end here happily,
Yeah.
and there's
Right.
doesn't need to be more, but like part of me wants to fight and say wait, there could be more could happen with him and his girl, forget her name, forgive me,
Sethaway.
Sephu, yeah, and
Mm.
so like I just don't know, but I'm happy with it ending where it did. I thought it was good. And,
Yeah.
I think I'd be more happy with maybe an alternate, like a different story of someone else using it and going to a different
Okay.
dimension, as opposed to a continuation
like the same
of John's
technology,
story.
but somebody
Yeah,
else is doing it. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I think I would probably be pushing, out of the three of us, I would probably be pushing the most for a sequel, just because like I think that there is so much that could be explored that didn't get explored. And there was another reviewer that mentioned that they even wanted to see more of like the cyberpunk world, like the future world that he came
Yeah,
from.
augments and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
that could be really cool. But also like, I don't know, like I feel like there's just more that could happen here. Like I don't know what would be like the next big bad guy or anything, but if it is like this fantasy world where there's like gods and maybe there's dragons or something that they didn't mention in this book, it would be cool to see somebody with like cybernetics and stuff go into this fantasy world and actually like kick a dragon's ass or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
that'd
Yep.
be
yeah,
pretty sweet. So there's probably a couple different ways you could go with it, but I do hope we get a sequel. And I think like the whole Logna epilogue, I'm like there's no reason that would be there if there wasn't gonna be a sequel. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Last question: are we interested in more non-Cosmere stuff from Brandon, or do we only want Cosmere stuff?
I'm definitely more on the Cosmere side. I mean, I do like the Skyward series. I think
Oh,
that's
okay.
pretty good. it can be a bit YA at times, but I know stuff like they do like spaceship battles. They're like so well written in that, like the
Okay.
kind of physics and stuff that's involved in them is pretty cool. So I'm not against non-Cosmere books, but I definitely much prefer them.
Nice.
I would probably agree, only because like Cosmere is what like he is known for. Like that's what he
Yeah.
writes. All his books are Cosmere. And so like like when you get a Cosmere book, like it's gonna be connected, it's gonna be amazing, it's gonna be whatever in the world. And not that like stuff like this isn't like good, because it is. But I just feel like, if he was to like bring out a new series that was Cosmere, right? Like that connected, and then he was to bring out a new series that wasn't, like who's gonna listen to what, right? Like Cosmere is gonna be the
people
thing.
are gonna
Yeah, and so that's kind of how I feel. Like I'm not saying it's bad. I just know that Cosmere is the way that people will lean, and I probably would too.
Right. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, that is kind of the end of this. Do you have any final thoughts or anything before I hit the outro?
I just want to say that Oxford English Dictionary defines a matriarchy as a system of society or government ruled by a woman or women,
Fuck
Gabe.
you, dude.
Just
Fuck you. Nope, I accept it. I was wrong. I'm forgetful.
Oh,
Yeah.
Patriarchy is what I meant, okay? But
Yeah.
I'm glad you told me about matriarchy. That's good. Next
There you
time,
go.
I
Now you
promise
know.
I will
Now you know.
strive. I will
Yeah.
strive to say the correct word.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mick.
I was not expecting that.
No, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, it's so
Oh,
awesome. That's why
good.
you need to be here more often, Mick.
Yeah.
You need to hear, dude. That's perfect.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So awesome.
Well, Mick, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank you, dude.
joining us.
My
and
pleasure,
hanging
guys.
out. Yeah, this was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
you should join us for one of our next Cosmere episodes, because we're doing Elantris, then Warbreaker, and then we're going into Stormlight. And you've read all the Cosmere stuff, right?
Yeah, I've read them. I can try and get the audiobooks and do a re-listen, because it's probably just over 2 years since I've done Elantris and Warbreaker and
Oh, okay.
that, so I can get back on them again. Yeah.
What's the one that we read about the cloth and the guy that didn't have a tongue? Remember, it was a Cosmere, and there was a king that couldn't talk, and he would talk to his servant.
Oh, that's Warbreaker. Yeah.
That's
Warbreaker.
Warbreaker.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so Elantris is the next one we're doing,
Yeah.
and then we're doing Warbreaker, and then we're going into Stormlight.
Gotcha,
So,
gotcha.
Yeah, if you'd like to join us for any of those, you're more than welcome.
Perfect. Yep. Sounds good.
Do you want to plug your Twitter? Do you want people following you?
Yeah, you can follow me, what Mick reads on Twitter, and yeah, just posting reviews and talking crap on there.
Yep, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Solid stuff. I love it.
Very cool. All right, well, that is going to wrap us up there, guys. If you'd like to chat more with us, our Twitter and Discord server are linked below in the description, as well as our second channel where we talk about movies, shows, and video games. We should have some video up soon on there as we make our way through the second season of Yellow Jackets on Showtime, so be sure to check that out. And be sure to give us a subscribe if you like this content and would like to see us cover more of Sanderson's books, including Stormlight and the last two secret projects getting released later this year. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and until next time, Carpe Diem. Seize that fish.
Seize that fish.
Carpe Diem.
Absolutely.